Chapter-10. Return to the Source. Vichara, investigation, is the process and the goal also. I am is the goal and the final reality. To hold on to it with effort is vichara. When spontaneous and natural, it is realization. So says Ramana. Indian spiritual tradition teaches 4 ways of approach to the Great Awakening, called self-realization. These approaches are not only different, but even seem contradictory. Jnana Marga, the path of knowledge, Bhakti Marga, the path of devotion, Karma Marga, the path of action, and Yoga Marga, the path of reunion. Appearance is deceptive here. Not only is there no contradiction, but they actually have to be practiced side by side to serve their purpose, as will be shown. Yoga Marga has practically no place in the teaching of Ramana Maharshi, though he knew it well and did not deny its usefulness. He considered the yogic techniques for sadhana or spiritual practice as a roundabout way. When a visitor asked, "Is a jnani different from a yogi?" the master answered, Srimad Bhagavad Gita says that a jnani is the true yogi and also the true bhakta. Yoga is only a sadhana, and jnana is the siddhi, the perfection. But is yoga necessary? It is a sadhana. It will not be necessary after jnana or true knowledge is attained. All the sadhanas are called yogas: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga. But what is yoga? Yoga means union. Yoga is possible only when there is viyoga, separation. The person is now under the delusion of separation. This delusion must be removed. The method of removing it is called yoga. But which method is the best? It depends upon the temperament of the individual. Every person is born with the vasanas of past lives. One of these methods will be found easy for one person and another method for another. There is no definiteness about it. In fact, yoga as well as bhakti or love presupposes 2. The one who is practicing to attain the other, God or self. Jnana Marga, on the other hand, starts with the knowledge of the goal. There is only one without any other. Hence the seeming contradiction among the paths, the stress which is laid by some Advaita Vedantins on the fact that Ramana Maharshi was a strict jnani. He was, but he was not at all exclusive concerning the sadhana, as will be seen. Jnana is the term for both, the way of practice and the goal, the final awakening to the truth. Knowledge of what? Is not Veda too? implying subject and also object here also. Already here in the beginning, one has to beware against a pitfall. In the case of jnana, knowledge does not mean something. In this case, to know is to be. The knowledge of the self does not belong to some I as my knowledge. It is pure awareness, aware only of itself. How can we get at it? By adopting our philosophy. But philosophy is only of the mind. If you give yourself up to the study of Advaita Vedanta, you may convince your intellect of its logical correctness. But this knowledge is not jnana. It is the result of the thinking mind. True jnana is the truth revealed when the mind has stopped thinking. Thus, if the philosophy of Advaita does not satisfy you, don't worry. The true jnana sadhana, or the knowledge spiritual path, is hunting the I until you reach the mysterious I am that I am, by which the supreme power revealed itself to Moses. This method was already known to the ancient sages, but later neglected. Ramana Maharshi did not pick it up at random. When he awoke in his great experience to the real I, the self, Atman, he recognized once and for all that personal I belongs to another dimension of consciousness than the true I. He also recognized that to find its source and hold on the wrong I was the way to get beyond this relative consciousness into the pure awareness of Turiya, that knowledge which is being. Some important details of the sadhana for this have been treated in previous chapters. In the quotation mentioned, Ramana Maharshi pointed at the fact that the different methods of sadhana are meant for the different temperaments of individuals. Though brain and nervous system, our biological reaction mechanism, are basically the same for all, there are slight differences in the way of thinking, feeling, and activity balanced among themselves. Some people are of an emotional type. In others, the intellectual tendencies are predominant. Still others find satisfaction only in activity. As soon as somebody is attracted by the idea of spiritualizing his way of life, he will choose the method of his sadhana accordingly. The intellectual will prefer jnana marga. The emotionally inclined will take to bhakti marga. The active person to karma marga. However, as it has been shown with jnana, the matter is not as simple as it seems. Just as the knowledge of jnana is not intellectual knowledge, so the love of bhakta to a deity is his love in the beginning. The work or karma of the active person in the course of his sadhana is also no longer his work. Just as the jnani has to transcend himself, so have the bhakta and the karmi, because it is not the personal I that succeeds in the end. Though it starts on the great adventure, it does so only to get lost during the journey. Still, there is no harm in starting accordingly to one's liking. What matters is to start at all, and that seems only to be intended by the person. But actually, it is prompted already by the inner guide, the self, which will go with you up to the goal because it is the goal. Thus, the bhakta, the emotional, the spiritual aspirant, starts with his love for his chosen deity. He is seldom interested in the self because there is no concept of the self. It is as it is. How can you love such something? You want somebody to love, and Hinduism has many lovable deities. He is free to choose the child Krishna to be caressed and pampered and looked after, or the young cowherd boy to passionately adore him as did the gopis. He may take refuge from the toil and suffering of life in his love of Devi, the mother of the universe, or throw himself at the feet of Shiva or Mahadev. He may approach his beloved as servant, as lover, or as friend. He will be happy in the experience that he is accepted. But one day or other, what is time to the gods? His Ishta Devata, his beloved, will meet him in the shape of man, the Guru, asking, "What kind of love are you offering and to whom? Isn't it you who enjoy your love? You think you surrendered yourself to the Lord. Who then is there now to love him?" As the Maharshi said, surrender consists in giving up oneself and one's possessions to the Lord of mercy. Then what is left for the man? Nothing, neither himself nor his possession. The body liable to be born and to die. Having been made over to the Lord, the man need no longer worry about it. Then birth and death cannot strike terror. The cause of fear was the body. It is no longer his. Why should he fear now? Or where is the identity of the individual to be frightened? Thus, the self is realized and bliss results. This is then the subject matter, freedom from misery and gain of happiness. This is the highest good to be gained. Surrender is synonymous with bliss itself. This is the relationship. To a devotee who hankered after a vision of the beloved, the Maharshi said, "Surrender to him and abide by his will. Whether he appears or vanishes, await his pleasure. If you ask him to do as you please, it is not surrender, but a command to him. You cannot have him obey you and yet think that you have surrendered. He knows what is best and when and how to do it. Leave everything entirely to him. His is the burden. You have no longer any cares. All your cares are his. Such is surrender. This is also bhakti. What actually happens is this. The sadhana of the bhakta consists in holding on to the presence of his Ishtadeva, his chosen God. To feel this presence at all times and under all circumstances is his happiness, in which he finally loses his self-conscious personal I. What remains is love, and so love is God. His mind is no longer mind, but has become his love, which is Ananda, or bliss, which is the final aspect of Satchit Ananda, the bliss of the awareness of pure being. The term karma demands some definition. Carried over from ancient times, it originally meant a path of ritual worship. This is certainly also a working sadhana, akin to the bhakti path, though without the passionate feeling connected with that. However, other meanings of the term have now overgrown the original one. A very important meaning of karma denotes the connection of cause and effect with regard to the hypotheses of rebirth. In our present context, we will use another meaning, namely activity or work in the general sense. Now, the person who can be termed as predominantly of an active character is usually not particularly interested in spiritual matters. He will be rather extroverted, turned without. However, in a broader sense, everybody has to be active, be it for his maintenance and that of his family, be it even only to keep his body alive and going, as with a saint or sage. This activity can become a serious obstacle in the spiritual path of the jnani, as well as of the bhakta. As the Maharshi said, the difficulty with karma arises when the man thinks that he is the doer. This is the mistake. It is the higher power which is behind everything, and man is only a tool. If he accepts that position, he is free from troubles. Otherwise, he brings them onto himself. Take, for instance, the figure in a temple tower, where it is made to appear to bear the burden of the tower on its shoulders. Its posture and look are a picture of great strain, while bearing the very heavy burden of the tower. But think, the tower is built on the earth, and it rests on its own foundations. The figure, like the one of Atlas bearing the earth, is a part of the tower, but it is made to look as if it bore the tower. Is it not funny? So is the man who takes on himself the sense of doing. Actions form no bondage. Bondage is only the false notion, I am the doer. Leave off such thoughts, and let the body and senses play their role unimpeded by your interference. The feeling, I work, is the hindrance. Inquire, who works? Remember, who am I? The work will not bind you. It will go on automatically. Make no effort either to work or to renounce work. Your effort is the bondage. What is bound to happen will happen. If you are destined to cease working, work cannot be had even if you hunt for it. If you are destined to work, you cannot leave it. You will be forced to engage in it. So leave it to the higher power. You cannot renounce or hold as you choose. In analyzing the quotations, it becomes clear that the hindrance which karma may put up is not the work in itself, but the attitude towards it, the self-will, the little self behind it. The will is the third aspect of our biological reaction mechanism and the strongest element in the personal I. Karma Marga, performed as the attempt to renounce self-will, is a powerful means to overcome it, provided it does not take the shape of resistance. For resistance is just a way to strengthen the ego I. Who is it that resists? So how should we act? Most work is done with some purpose in view, either for oneself or for somebody or something else. The Srimad Bhagavata Gita considered by many as the scripture in the praise of action, says, "Your concern is only with action, not with its fruit. Be not motivated by the fruits of actions, but do not cling either to inaction." The fact is that there is no personal actor at all. Action calls for reaction, which means that further action will go on without my or your intention, as it did ages ago during our instinct period. Thus, the goal of the karma yogi is to realize that the meaning of life is not to do, but to be. Pure being, and it will be revealed to him in the same great experience as in the case of others following the Jnana Marga and Bhakti Marga. Ramana Maharshi used the illustration of acting as the actor on the stage. He plays his part in full attention, devoting his whole capacity to the task in hand, but knowing all the while that he is not the king or the beggar of his role, but somebody else. We too have to be aware that as the person, we have to act our part on the stage of life, remembering all the time our true nature as pure being, the self. Going beyond thinking by jnana, beyond feeling by bhakti, beyond self-willed action by karma, means going beyond that I which was from the very beginning, the birth of a genuine reflexive identity, a wrong I. It means nothing more or less than returning to the source of pure consciousness. And as the Maharshi said, your efforts can extend only thus far. Then the beyond will take care of itself. You are helpless there. No effort can reach it. Here finally we meet the great experience of Ramana, the Maharshi, in its second aspect, as the pure power of the beyond, Shakti. As he said, some force, call it Atmic power or anything else, arose within me and took possession of me. I became a new man. I and God melted again into the one without a second, that they always had been, beyond name and form, time and space, the divine mystery of man. To get this experience, we have to transcend the biological status of the thinking mammal, which alone we are, according to the teachings of our natural sciences. And inadvertently, they help to keep us bound by this status, because only by this deep ignorance about our true nature are we blind towards those negative ways in which we are misused by our worldly civilization. However, there are ancient teachings in almost all traditions which talk of the true man, and that his deepest nature is divine. And there are men like Ramana Maharshi, who live their lives not as the biological phenomenon only, which they too are by birth, but as their divine reality. Let us not speculate about the future, as to whether or not there will be a change for the better in the desolate conditions of present world civilization. For the time being, there seems to be no way out of the disaster. At least we do not see any. Who sees? We do not know. We know not but one thing, the gentle divine voice deep in the recesses of our heart, asking us to return to the source. It tells us that it is our own voice, calling us out of a stage of consciousness which degenerated into crowded thinking, distorted feeling, and feverish activity, calling us out of our biological dream of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep into the natural state of Turiya, absolute consciousness, and there to find our divine nature of Satchit Ananda, the pure being, blissfully aware only of itself. Another dream of weakling who dare not face the abyss of the absolute naught. Who cares? We met Ramana, the Maharshi, the sage of Arunachala, the embodiment of the wonderful saga of the true man.